Maybe I'm just like weird. Maybe I'm crunchy.
This is the Southern Tea with Lindsie Chrisley.
I think it's so funny when you get Christmas cards and all of these people write their children's accomplishments on the back. I don't love them.
A Southern girl and a boy mom who's trying to navigate life while staying true to her roots.
I am a functioning, non-functioning human being right now.
Join Lindsie each week as she swears to spill the tea, the whole tea, and nothing but the tea.
That is the tea.
Here's Lindsie.
Good morning and welcome back to another episode of the Southern Tea. This is the collab that I have been waiting for. This is a family member. This is somebody that I have not worked with since 2017 in a professional capacity that I regularly bullshit with on all days that end in Y, and that is Nannie Faye. Welcome to the Southern Tea.
Everybody needs a Nannie Faye.
Everybody needs a nanny. We are going to title this segment WWND. Do you know what that stands for?
No, you don't know too much about stuff like that.
Since we regularly talk about religion on the Southern Tea, I decided to title this segment WWND instead of WWJD. And that is for what would Nannie do?
I don't know. Because I'm just an everyday person. I just say and do and live my life. Get up with a smile on my face and love in my heart, and I move on every day.
We know, and I think that that's why everybody loves you. You're not a try-hard. You just show up authentic every day. I truly wish that my bed would have been mic'd up last night whenever I got home, because some of the things that you were saying and some of the things that I witnessed on your camera roll were truly alarming. I do need to take up an issue with you, though.
Okay, let it roll.
I was your first grandchild.
And the love of my life. When I seen you, it was a new day, a new beginning.
And I was a fan favorite for the Chrisley family for a short 15 months until your favorite grandchild, Kyle Chrisley, came along. I have noticed when my siblings text me that they refer to you as Nannie with a Nanny. I have always spelled your name Nannie. You have always signed your cards for me all through childhood, Nannie. So can you clarify how it's actually spelled?
Well, maybe they just forgot how to spell, because that's the way I've always written it. Nannie, Nannie.
Yeah.
The one and only Nannie.
And I feel like because they all spell it Nanny, they think the majority rules on that because that's how they all do it. But I was the original gangster first Chrisley grandchild, and it is Nannie.
And always will be Nannie. That's the way everybody spells it.
Thank you for clarifying that. Can I ask you, do you listen to podcasts? Do you like podcasts? If you were going to listen to podcasts and you don't, what is your favorite type of podcast that you would tune into?
Well, see, first of all, I don't know how to get on to all that stuff. Second, I just kind of let that roll down my back because I don't really know. And like yours, I know about what you're going to be talking about. I live with you, hear from you every day. So I know about what you're going to say and the people you're talking to. So I really don't have time for all that. You know, by the time I keep up with all these 7 grandchildren and try to run their business and try to stay on the right side of the road, well, then I don't have much time for podcasts. But now I know people that do love them. And, you know, I guess it's a good thing because they learn what's going on. And then, but when you live with people that do it, then I know what they're going to say.
It's kind of like I mean, this probably wouldn't apply to you because you probably did watch all of the episodes of Chrisley Knows Best when they aired.
Always, never missed a one.
But for me, I have regularly talked about being a podcaster. I never listen to other podcasts because I don't want to be inspired, by someone else or like their style to rub off on me. If someone's listening to me, then anything they're listening to is not something that I've heard from somewhere else. It's just me, my ideas, my thoughts. And I also never, ever watched Chrisley Knows Best because I lived it.
Well, I just always watched it to see how
it turned out.
Yeah, how it turned out. If I was too bad or was good or whatever. Because, see, I never think about. They said, Nannie, how do you think about all that? I don't know. It's like Chloe told me. She said, Nannie, said, you're so funny. Said, how do you think about that? I said, well, I don't know. Just give me something and I'll come back to you. I always got something I can come back to you, but I don't know what do you ask me. And then I know.
Well, I am so excited that you decided to come on the podcast. As we have slated right now, this is going to be a monthly segment where the listeners of the Southern Tea podcast are going to be able to submit questions, and you're going to give grandma or nanny advice.
I'll give them the best advice in the world. It won't hardly cost them anything.
It's not. Podcasts are free to listen to.
I know. That's why I said it doesn't cost them anything. And Nanny will give you the best advice in the world because I've already lived it. So I know.
People asked what was the best advice that you have ever given me. I think it's a quick, easy statement, and that is early to bed.
Early to rise makes you healthy, wealthy, and wise.
That's right. Where did you learn that from?
From my grandmother.
That is very, very true. I say it to myself often when I have hard days, when I need encouragement for myself. Grandma advice is just the best. Even though you guys might not even know shit, you know everything.
Well, you know what I tell my grandchildren, Chase, most of the time because he's on my case. I said, Chase, he said, Nanny, you know everything. I said, I do. There's not much I don't know. I said, you don't think that I got fat like this for no reason. It's all the knowledge. So that's how I got fat.
Also, you have given me great advice. It was a failed marriage, but when I was in it, you gave me great marriage advice. You've shared advice with me for my whole life once I finally got into a serious relationship about having couples friends and friends around all the time in your marriage and your opinions on that. Can you tell the audience a little bit about that and why you and Papa never really buddied with people?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you now because you know I am. When you get married, you choose to be with that partner. So you have to let go of friends. I'm not saying that you're supposed to hate everybody. That's not what I'm saying. But a friend is a friend that you need when you need it. Not at your door every day to drink coffee and to buddy. You have to work with that relationship and your home and the family that you're going to create. So you don't have friends. You might have some associates, but you don't have no friends. And you need to stay alone. Do you and your partner and your family, church, work, home. And be a good neighbor. But I don't want nobody showing up at my door to drink coffee every day because I don't have time for that. Because if you're working on your marriage, your family, keeping house, and your job, you don't have time for more. And I'm going to give you some real good advice about family and friends. When you have a bunch of friends, it's trouble waiting to happen because next thing you know, you'll be going with their husband, they'll be going with your wife and all that. The best thing to do is don't have that playground.
So basically what you're saying is when you're married or you're in a serious relationship, you shouldn't be buddying because Karen might shake your hand and take your man.
That's exactly right. And they be giving you wrong advice because they want what you already have. A good relationship, a good home. So they want it. So they're going after it. So best thing to do is stay away from it.
I think also what you're saying is have a list of your priorities. And in your opinion, friends don't really have a... friends just don't have a... What are your friends going to think when they hear this episode? And you're saying, my friends don't matter.
Oh, I have tons of friends that I will do anything for, but I didn't buddy with them. Now, if I can help you, I will.
Yeah.
Like a little boy came to my door, rang my doorbell early in the morning, 8 o'clock. I said, wonder who in the devil's at my door at 8 o'clock. I looked down, a little bitty boy, about 10 or 12 years old. I said, well, I better go answer the door because he might need help. I get up and go to the door. He hugs me around the waist. He said, oh, Nanny, I wish you was my nanny. I said, you are. I am a nanny to everyone. So that's the way I am. But I'm not going to put my husband, my boyfriend, in the play with someone else.
Nanny, are you spilling tea right now? Do you have a boyfriend?
I could have dozens. I have dozens, but I don't need no one. I don't really need another Social Security check. So I was married almost 50 years. I have 7 grandchildren that I love dearly. Mm-hmm. I have 2 great-grandchildren that I love dearly.
Who do you love the most?
Well, I love everybody.
But, like, who do you love the most?
Well, I don't know, because I have a special place in my heart for each and every one. Now, you might be my favorite today, but tomorrow you might not be. Depends on what you've done today.
But, like, who's your favorite?
I don't
believe I only have one child.
Well, you don't have to choose.
So I don't have to choose. But I couldn't imagine, like, loving all of your kids equally and the same.
Oh, honey, listen, God gets rid of all that. You have a place, no matter how many you have, 5, 6, 2, or whatever. When another one comes along, you got a special place in your heart. Now, some need you more than others.
Yeah, that's what you've always said. You always said when I was growing up that Kyle needed you more than me, and that's why I kind of got the shaft.
Well, but it didn't mean that I didn't love you. But sometimes he was more needy than you. And sometimes I had to go to bat for him a little bit more. And I still go to bat for him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen.
Yes, my dear.
Do you want me to tell you what I am going to make this week?
Yes, I've been following your recipes and I'm loving them. So please do tell.
I'm going to do the chocolate chip cookie ice cream sandwiches.
Oh my God. I made those. They were so good. Huge hit. Corey loves them. My mom loves them. I love them. And I bet you Jackson is going to make you make them all the time now.
So I am getting the recipe off of Ree Drummond's podcast episode. And I am super excited because it just is kind of like fun to make something and listen to the episode at the same time.
The amount of cooking you've been doing lately, like this has been such a good podcast for you because it is really upping your game in the kitchen. And I'm actually very proud of you.
Okay, so this recipe is on the Ranch Games episode, and it's like family that plays together, stays together. She has her extended family for a good old friendly ranch style sporting competition, and then has all these different recipes for the food to celebrate the games whenever they're done. And Jackson loves stuff with onion in it. I know that that's really weird, but there's a recipe on there called onion strings, and I have not made them, but I think I'm going to make them this week as well.
Everybody should be listening to the Pioneer Woman podcast with Ree Drummond. I'm also in awe of Ree Drummond herself because there's honestly nothing that she cannot do. She started her award-winning blog, thepioneerwoman.com, in 2006. She's a writer, a photographer, a ranch wife, and a mother to 5 children. So I'm just a big supporter.
So if you guys have not listened to this podcast, you truly are missing out. You can listen to The Pioneer Woman wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, something that I wish that you have taught me that I wish that I could be better at, but I'm really bad at. And I need to know if you feel like this is an inherited Chrisley trait, holding grudges. I'm a big grudge holder.
I know, but honey, you miss out on so much to hold a grudge. You know what? That's what the devil wants you to do, is hold that grudge so you can never be free, just like a bird just get out here and fly, because you got that a little pissed off thing on your back and you don't want to get rid of it. But when you let that grudge go and you ask for forgiveness and you move on, you're just free. That's why I could have lots of grudges. But see, I don't allow the devil to let me do that, because I'm not going to let him cheat me out of something good today by holding a grudge. Because you know what? Usually the one you hold the grudge against is smiling because you won't let go. So the best thing to do is let go.
I'm still going to hold on to it, because I'm going to know like who you are and what you did, and I'm not going to forget it.
Well, you know what? You might not forget about it, but you don't get to carry it every day.
But no, I'm carrying it because I need to remind myself of what you did, so that I'm not putting myself back in a position that I shouldn't be in.
Oh, well, I don't know. I never have been like that. Now, when I let go, I don't go back and get it and keep holding on to it, because all it's doing is cheating me. And listen, God let me get up today, and I'm not going to let no one cheat me out of today's joy and the smile. And listen, I get up every morning with love in my heart and a smile on my face. And I'm going to be kind. It doesn't matter, because it's not going to cost me anything. And the smile and the good that I say to someone might be the only good word that they got today. So I'm going to get up and I'm going to be happy, because when I close my eyes in death, I don't want no one to ever say, well, Nannie was a snob. Nannie just carried things and went on. My heart might be broken inside, but you're not going to know it.
Nannie,
So I'm going to move on.
You're a good person. Another thing you taught me, and I'm going to talk about our living situation, because I don't think that anybody ever knew this that tuned in to watch Chrisley Knows Best or have, followed me. I've maybe talked about it on the podcast before, that Will and I lived with you after Papa passed away while we were building our first home. And I was pregnant when we were living with you. And then Will and I, moved out when our house was finished. And I lived with you through my first separation from Will. Jackson and I did. And then you always told me the grass is not greener on the other side. And I think that some of your encouragement made me try to fight for my marriage, although I'm sometimes pissed off about it, because I wonder if I would have stayed as long if I didn't listen to you.
Well, let me tell you something. The grass is never greener on the other side. Now, they might manicure theirs a little bit better, might look a little bit better, but same thing. It's just a different day. And always remember that. You have to work on a good relationship, a good marriage. Like I said, you need to focus on the family. I'm not saying what y'all did was wrong or right, but I'm just saying that you have to learn to work hard, live hard, and love hard. Those are the three main things that you have to do. And let me tell you, I've tried to tell you children, because you or Chrisley want to get the last word in, doesn't mean that you was the winner. Don't you always remember that? Mm-hmm. Sometimes the best thing to do is to shut up. And if you haven't settled your argument, most of the time it's over nothing. By the time you go to bed, don't you get up and start that same shit in the morning, because it's no good. It's a new beginning, a new day.
How does somebody get to that? Were you always at that place in your life, or did you just arrive there one day? Did you just wake up and become this person, or you've always been this person? Because I can tell you right now that if I'm in a relationship or in my marriage and you have pissed me off, I'm not going to make peace just so that we can go to sleep peacefully. No, you get over there.
Yeah, but
I'm
see,
getting
you're trying to
over
get
here.
even.
Yeah.
See, and I don't try to get even. I just learned early to just shut up because it takes two to argue. And so your papa wasn't going to argue with a dummy. So I just went on and did my own thing. I knew what was right to do in a marriage. I was a good mother, a good grandmother, and a good wife. So I don't have to justify anything because I'd already lived that life. So when he said something, I didn't pay him no more attention than you did, and you didn't even hear him because I knew what I was supposed to be doing. Because he was mad and he wanted to say something to me, I wasn't going to let him think he won. So I just don't pay any attention. Just go right on, wash your dishes, clean your floors, clean your bathroom, do what you're supposed to do, and let him go. Because in the end, you didn't win, and I did.
I think now that I've been through a divorce that I can see all of those things to be very true and positive, but I wouldn't have done it until I've been divorced.
Yeah, but you've grown up. And what I have tried to instill in you children, you might not pay any attention today, but months or years later, you're going to look back and say, well, Nannie was right. Because now I'm not wrong on most things because I've lived that life. And I want to be a good example to these young kids. They send me cameos all the time, want me to give them advice on a good marriage. I tell them the same things I tell you. You can't argue with a dummy. Arguments always escalate to something bigger. So if you just hush and go on, you know what you're supposed to do. He knows what he's supposed to do.
But what's your opinion? How do you, if you just go on and you're just turning an eye to all of this stuff that's transpiring, then how do you ever reach remedy, or how do you feel like your voice is ever heard?
Well, they'll learn quick, and you will too.
Okay, can you tell me, since we've talked about divorce, your thoughts on divorce?
Well, see,
You've had
back in our times, nobody very seldom ever divorced.
Well, both of your kids divorced, and 2 of your grandkids have gone through divorces so far.
Well, I'm going to tell you again, and you know I can't say a lot of words correctly, but you know what I'm talking about. I tell you and Savannah and all these grown kids that you kids in this the millennials, I call them, need to revisit our generations because it doesn't seem like it's been working out too well for all these people.
What do you think happened?
Because you think you're right, he thinks he's right. So there's no media. And then you just get to arguing. It gets more heated. So our divorce is the easiest way out. Again, it goes back to going out and socializing with people that you don't need to be fooling with. You need to be home concentrating on your family. That's what you need to be doing.
Kristen, I have been putting a lot of orders in lately. I'm sure that you've probably seen that.
Oh, yes.
But with travel coming up and Jackson and I being gone a lot over the summer, I have been trying to stock up on Earth Breeze laundry detergent eco sheets because it is so easy to travel with.
No, they really are. I actually put in an order for some too because Corey and I are going to be doing traveling. And then I actually convinced Kale to order some as well because she's going to be doing like camping in that camper this year. So I feel like it's way better than carrying those just jugs of laundry detergent around. And we're all trying to be, I think, a little more eco-friendly this year and make good decisions for ourselves, the kids, the environment. And I actually have a interesting fact that 91% of those inconvenient, awkward, heavy jugs end up in landfills and oceans, which harm our planet and marine life. And none of us want to take part in that.
Absolutely, we do not. If you guys have not seen Earth Breeze laundry detergent eco sheets, they look just like dryer sheets, but they're not. It's revolutionary liquidless laundry detergent that dissolves 100% in any wash cycle. So if it's hot or if it's cold, there's no measuring, no mess, no large plastic jugs, just toss the sheets in. Really, really easy. Earth Breeze has made the whole concept of detergent better. The packaging is lightweight, it's biodegradable, plastic free, and great for all laundry lifestyles, even sensitive skin. Their eco sheets are hyperallergenic and dermatologist tested, and Earth Breeze is compatible with high efficiency washers, gray water systems, and is septic safe as well. So switch from the old fashioned goo to something new. Right now, our listeners can subscribe to Earth Breeze and save 40%. Go to earthbreeze.com/southerntea to get started. That's earthbreeze.com/southerntea for 40% off. earthbreeze.com/southerntea.
Okay. I've got some questions for you.
Okay, let them roll.
I know the answer to the first one, but I want to hear what you have to say. How did you figure out home remedies or, things about, if you were trying to, basically we use WebMD now to diagnose ourselves for stuff. How did you do that kind of stuff or learn home remedies before Google?
Well, first of all, I was raised by grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
And they always said, and it is in the Bible, that there's a herb in the forest that will heal all manner of illnesses. I was already married before I ever went to a doctor, because my grandparents always would go get a herb out of the ground or in the forest, and they would fix us something to take if we were sick. My grandpa always fixed, he called it his cough medicine, rock candy, and moonshine back in the day, they called it,
Mm-hmm.
and raisins. And when you got the cough or you're sick, he'd give you a teaspoonful of that. That's what got us through the winter. So that's the way I do it. And she said, if you got a sore throat and you know it works.
Oh, I already know. Let me guess. Gargle with vinegar.
Vinegar and warm salt water. I guarantee you in a few hours, you'd keep doing it, your sore throat will be gone.
But how? So you learned this from your raising?
From my grandparents.
Because now today we have access to so much from the internet that if we just think of anything, we can type it into a search bar and a million hits come up and we can try to diagnose ourselves. You're not being 100% truthful about this, because you also have diagnosed people for at least as long as I've been living by using a Harvard medical book.
Oh, yeah. I've got one of the first ones. I'd always, no matter what got wrong, I'd go read it, tell you the symptoms, and what they doctor it with.
So basically, you were like the OG WebMD,
Mm-hmm.
or you thought you were.
Well, I did. I've cured a lot of stuff by doing that.
But like what? Can you think of any specifics of any time that you have used your Harvard medical book that you properly diagnosed somebody with something or remedied some type of illness?
Well, when your papa got renal failure, before we really knew that it was renal failure, and he was having trouble, I went and got my medical book. I still have it. I turned it over to that. I read about it, and it said to drink a lot of cranberry juice. And when he went to Emory and stayed in intensive care for 7 weeks, that's what they told him to do all the time.
Okay. What is your laundry remedy for getting out stains?
A little Dawn dish soap.
You put that, I say there is this household spray that I use from a company called Modere. I'll have to give you a bottle because I put it on everything. Like this morning before we left here, I used it to clean the toilet. I use it to clean kitchen counters. I might clean my nightstand off with it. I might clean my phone off with it. It is like Frank's Red Hot sauce to me. I put that shit on everything. You use Dawn dish soap for everything.
Just about it. And white vinegar. And baking soda.
Is the rumor true? Julie told me this one time. Is the rumor true that you got caught washing your face with Dawn dish soap?
I do it all the time.
For what purpose?
I take my makeup off every night with Dawn dish soap. And Sassy said, Nannie, you can't be that dumb to do stuff like that. And I said, let me tell you something. When they had the oil spill, they used Dawn dish soap on the birds. So if it didn't hurt them, it's not going to hurt my face.
Do you feel like there are other products out there that would be more suitable for makeup removal? I could think of a handful of them than Dawn dish soap. Or are you pretty committed to that?
No, well, I'm not going to change because it works for me. And so I'm 79. Look at my face. I don't have to go out and buy all those wipes and all that stuff. Just go get your washcloth, wet it, put your little Dawn dish soap, wash your face, call it a day.
Okay. What else would you use? You're only using Dawn. Like, let's say there was a blood stain on something, like your kid's nose got bloody. Are you using Dawn dish soap?
I usually would use white vinegar for that.
Okay.
And then if it didn't take it all out, then soak it in a little Dawn. Put your little bit on it. Most time it'd take it out.
Okay. You have to be Johnny on the spot for this. So you need to get your thinking brain on.
Well, I got my hat on.
Okay. Best quick recipe that's always going to turn out good.
Gravy.
Everybody can't make that. My dad has been married to Julie for almost 30 years, and he says that she cannot make gravy. So we need an easy, like a dummy can do it. Lindsie Chrisley in the kitchen can do it. What am I making?
Fried chicken.
Okay. And how are we doing that?
Wash your chicken. Then I put buttermilk over it, put it in a container, and let it sit for a little while. Then I put a little dash or two of hot sauce on it. I shake it up in that Ziploc bag or the bowl that I got it airtight in. Then I roll it in self-rising flour with salt and pepper, and I fry it in peanut oil.
Okay.
Anybody can do that.
You left out the fact that you use breast and cut them into strips.
Mm-hmm.
So that leads me to my next part of this question, because I think that this would be a rather hard task for you because cooking is just a piece of you and it's something that you've always done. When we posted about grandma advice, most people wrote back that they would want a grandma's cookbook. So would you ever be willing to publish a cookbook? And do you think that that would be an easy or a hard task for you? Because I'm going to say it's going to be very hard because when you give recipes, you might leave out something. You have given me recipes where you have called me back and told me, I forgot to tell you to put in an egg, or I forgot to tell you. So is it just something like a second nature thing that you aren't good at telling people recipes?
Well, hon, I don't know. But I've been cooking all my life. I don't even know when I started. So I can cook any kind of Southern food. When I fry okra, I put salt and pepper on it. But I don't measure it. But I know exactly what to do.
So do you think that making a cookbook would be something that you could do?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay, but you don't use measuring spoons.
No, because I know by the box that I'm shaking that salt out of, or that box of pepper, I know when I see it, I got enough in. And when I go to make cornbread, I make it in that same bowl all the time, so I know how much cornbread to put in there. I put an egg, some mayonnaise, some buttermilk, stir it up, put a little bit of water in it, have my pan greased, and my oven on 500, So it's something that I do all the time.
Can you tell me, because I would regularly get in arguments with my ex-husband about this, do you think that it is a sign of a good cook to have a messy kitchen?
You can't have a messy kitchen. You got to keep it clean. But, you know, when you're cooking, you know, you can't keep it spotless because you might drop a little flour.
Mm-hmm.
You might do this. But you know what? You're not supposed to be dirty with doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get that, I wash my pots and pans as I finish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Lindsie, I was scrolling through our Southern Tea Facebook group over the weekend, and I saw people in there talking about trying hint water, and I was just so excited because a lot of them were saying that they had never heard of it and that they wanted to try, because apparently we have a lot of dehydrated listeners out there who are just trying to get their water in. And I'm like, you know what? Now I feel better because I'm helping you, and I'm also not alone in the trying to consume water game.
Listen, we know that hint is a big hit in my house. I actually just re-upped my order because Jackson was complaining that we didn't have any in the refrigerator. And he's like, Mom, where did all the hint water go? And I'm like, well, specifically you drank it. And I can't even be upset about it because he's drinking hint water. He's not drinking sugary beverages. And I know that plain water for a lot of us can be so boring. I'm not a great water drinker, but that's where hint comes in. Hint infuses pure water with fruit essences to create surprisingly accurate fruit flavors without any sugar, diet sweeteners, or calories. And Hint is on a mission to help people drink more water by making it taste great. And Hint tastes so good that people start thinking of water as a treat. I know that my son has, and it doesn't feel like it's an obligation.
Hint water has really been helping me to stop drinking so much soda. And like, I'm not a good water drinker, but because it's infused, it doesn't taste like water. So it's way easier for me to actually want to drink it. So that's been really, really helpful to me. And that's why I keep recommending it to everybody. And so many people were actually shocked when they found out there was no sugar in it. And I'm like, no, this is like ingredients you could feel good about.
Hint water is an obsession that is actually good for you. You can find Hint water at retail stores like Walmart, Target, and Kroger, or have it delivered direct to your door from hintwater.com. New customers can get Hint for just $1 a bottle with free shipping when you order 3 cases. That's 36 bottles for $36 and free shipping. Just use the code SOUTHERNTEA at checkout.
Okay. Can you tell me what bothers you the most about younger generations compared to your generation?
Well, most of the young generation, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of them are lazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they've never had to do anything. I think sometimes that the more that you had to grow up doing, the more that you want to do, and you prosper more. But most people's lazy. They want to order out food, which, you know, I don't even do that myself. Because when I come home from work, no matter what I'm doing, I will fix me a little something to eat. What I cook today, I cook enough for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't go out and eat, not because I can't. I just rather eat at home.
Mm-hmm.
Then that way I don't have to dress up to go out. I can come home. You know, I love a pair of pajamas. I can put on my pajamas, fix me whatever I want to, and I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you tell me, if you could only choose 3 pieces of kitchenware, 3, what would they be and why are you choosing it?
Well, you got to have a sifter.
Okay. But why? What are you going to sift it into?
And a bowl.
So that's your 2. That's 2. You're going to have a sifter and a bowl. What's a third thing?
And a frying pan.
I knew that it was going to be those 3 things before I even asked.
Because I use most of those all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I love a black iron skillet.
Do you know that I have never had a sifter in my kitchen?
Yeah, but see, you don't bake biscuits.
No, I do not. And I feel like that is an acquired thing. Like, it's almost like how wine is an acquired taste. It's almost like that you either can do it or you can't. Like, you're either really good at it or you really suck at it.
Well, see, I'm going to tell you my first experience with biscuits. I was a little girl, probably about 8 or 9 years old. My grandmother was sick, so she told me I was going to have to cook breakfast. So I've been making cookies because she let me play around with that. So that morning I cooked biscuits, and I rolled them out thin, like cookies. And I asked my grandpa, see, he didn't say nothing bad about it. I said, well, Pa, how was my biscuits? He said, well, honey, they was good, but they were just like crackers. Because I rolled them thin.
Yeah, too dry.
I didn't leave them of a quarter of an inch so they'd rise and make a biscuit. They were like cookies. So he said they were like crackers, but they were good.
Well, I love that. Can you give us your best advice for saving money and budgeting?
Stay at home and cook. Watch what you spend your money on, because you can go buy things that will make 2 or 3 meals. Don't go to the store every day to buy what you're going to cook, because you're going to spend more. Go buy you 2 or 3 days' supplies of what you're going to cook. And stay at home. Going out and eat is real expensive. So if you're not lazy, then you can do your own cooking.
See, I disagree.
Well, anybody little like you don't require much to eat.
Okay, but the reason that I disagree is because of inflation. I feel like if you are, let's say, a single mom or a single parent, and in my situation, share time 50% of the time. So I have one mouth to feed 50% of the time, and then 2 mouths to feed the other 50% of the time. It's one, easier, more convenient, and you can do things like, for example, my Mexican restaurant, if you buy one adult meal, you get a kid's meal for free on Sundays. So like, what if you're thrifty like that and you're just like not a lavish out to eat spender? Like, I could think of so many recipes that I might want to make, but it would cost me more to make that recipe than it would for me to eat out.
Well, you just got one in Jackson, just part of the time. But I'm going to tell you what Randy said about me. Now, you know I worked in a textile plant for 49 years. Never worked less than 60 hours a week. But you know what he said? He said it didn't matter if my mama worked 10 hours, 12 hours, or 16. My mother always had a meal at supper time. But I come home, I fixed us a meal. That was just life. I didn't know anything different.
I admire that about you, but also no. Like if I've gone and worked and I'm out, you know, hustling and doing all the things, because I very much value quality time with Jackson. So what if I wanted to take him to the park and we're there until like 6 and it starts getting dark? I don't want to go home and start tearing apart a kitchen. So I'm like, you know what? It might be Domino's.
Oh, no, but we didn't ever do that, ever. We had ball practice, our ball game. Then what I did while we were going to the ball field, then I had something cooking in the oven or in a pot, slow cooking. So all I had to do is go home and put it together while they took a shower. Then I put it on the table. So you learn to manage.
No, Nannie, I think times have just changed. That's only ever happening if I have like pre-planned the grocery run for like Sunday grocery shopping, and I've gotten stuff for like crock pot meals. I don't mind doing crock pot meals, but if you think that I'm going to have something in the oven and we're going to go hit up the park, what if your friends text you?
I don't have no friends.
Well, in my case, what if one of my friends texts me and say, hey, do you guys want to go and get pizza at the local pizza place? Or do you guys want to go and do this? You can't be sporadic. You can't spontaneous. Like,
no, I say, well, thank you, but I've got dinner in the oven, so we're going home. So therefore, I don't have to pay for that.
So this is a disagreement that you and I have. Is that what you would say?
That's right. That's why I say the generations have changed. We prepared to save $1. In the younger generation, they live for today. They don't live for tomorrow.
Well, you don't know if it's coming.
Well, I know, but I'm telling you it's coming, and it's going to be worse.
Okay. Best advice for moms of little kids that are trying to stay sane? I know it's been a long time since you've had a little kid, but you have seen 2 10-year-olds in the past 10 years be raised. So what would be your best advice?
Of taking care of them?
Trying to stay sane, raising little kids.
Well, listen, you don't even think about being sane. You just get up and do what you got to do every day. You get up, get them off to school, go to your job, come home, do your laundry, help them with their homework.
That seems very much like going through the motions. Like, I like to have some excitement wrapped up in that. You know,
you have excitement on the weekends when you used to, with my children, went to the ball field. We had ball games. Then we had to come home and your dad, Papa, and the kids would have to cut grass.
Mm-hmm.
We had to clean because we didn't have maids. The cleaners was me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way it was. See, I don't know any difference. I've worked all my life, so I don't know any difference. So I don't know anything about all this stuff that y'all do because I wasn't taught that way.
Well, I just think, you know, after school, he's been in a school building. Did you have any of these thoughts? You have kids. They're in a school building for like 7 hours a day.
And I've been in a textile plant for 10, 12
and
hours,
you've been cooped up. Like, don't you have a desire to do something like outside of your home or like an outside activity that doesn't require you to be at home cleaning and cooking and wiping somebody else's ass? And
Well, that's what we call vacations back in our day. You did the same thing every day, and then vacations in July and August, that's when you got to do something different.
do you feel like y'all's mental health definitely suffered because of that mindset?
No, I still got all my faculties, so it didn't bother me.
See, I'm
79, I'm going on 80.
I'm a big believer in a lot of vacation days and mental health checks.
Well,
mental health days.
we got 2 or 3 weeks a year.
Okay. This is a interesting one. Are you proud of your grandkids, and do you feel that it is important for grandparents to tell their grandkids that they're proud?
I tell you every day how proud I am of you. I never miss a day telling mine how proud I am of them and the accomplishments they have made. And when they stumble, I don't mind telling them how stupid they are.
We know. Are you proud collectively of all of your grandchildren, or are you more proud of some, less than others? Does some sparkle in your eye a little bit brighter than others?
Well, most of the time I'm proud because they have, they've been different grandchildren. They've had a lot of opportunities to do well.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell them every day that I'm proud of you, but you need to be saving your money because you know what? You never know when something's going to end. So I try to prepare them for what is going to happen because it is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So be prepared for that. But I'm proud of them every day. And if they do something that I'm not proud of, then listen, I'm here to tell you, I'm going to put you down.
Oh, we know. You will be putting us down to the ground, okay?
Okay, Lindsie, I'm hitting you with all of the statistics and facts today. So I just want to say, did you know that hair thinning will happen to approximately 1 in 2 women? So if you're among them, you're definitely not alone. And I actually have something that can help that you introduced me to, which then I introduced my mom to, and she's loving it, and I love it, and you love it, and it's Nutrafol. They're here to help deliver some results.
I have so many friends that use Nutrafol. Millions of Americans experience thinning hair, and it's not only common, it's very normal. But among women, it's not openly talked about. We don't really want to talk about that kind of stuff. And it can feel very lonely. It can feel frustrating. I know that after I had Jackson, it was very, very frustrating. I didn't want to talk about it. I was alarmed by it and wish I knew about Nutrafol then. So you guys can join the thousands of women that are standing up for their strands by doing something about it with Nutrafol.
I have a ton of friends that also take this, especially after having babies, and how quickly their hair grows back and how thick it looks and just luscious. I'm like, you know what? Like this is really, really good for you. And it makes them feel so much more confident.
It's for everyone from postpartum to menopause. No matter what the root cause is, Nutrafol has 4 unique formulas to support women, which I think is really cool. And each is physician formulated using natural, drug-free, medical-grade ingredients, so you get the most reliable results. You just go to Nutrafol.com, take their hair health wellness quiz, and identify your cause of thinning hair. And Nutrafol will give you a personalized plan for better hair growth through the whole body wellness. And it starts by targeting root causes of thinning: stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, lifestyle, and metabolism through whole body health. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code SOUTHERNTEA. Find out why over 3,500 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code SOUTHERNTEA. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code SOUTHERNTEA.
Any grandparents that might be listening to this, or people who are sharing with your parents that are listening to this that are grandparents, what is your best advice to other grandparents?
Love them, be part of their life. And you know what? Don't tell everything that they do, because if it's bad, then you have to tell their parents. But if you can solve it, to have a good relationship with them, because people ask me all over the world, Nannie, how do you have a good relationship with those grown grandchildren? I said, well, I've loved them since the day they were born.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I have always argued for them, because Todd and Randy both have said to me, and Papa, why do you don't hold the same standards for them that you did for me, and whichever one was saying? I said, well, because we was young, dumb, and stupid. We had to learn too. But these grandbabies come along. As they grow, they make mistakes, but you don't tell them. You try to help solve it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't solve it, then you tell them. Like I told you, and your papa said.
You can be a snitch.
Yeah. I said, now, we will buy you a little gas. We will give you a little bit of money. But if you don't ring our doorbell and think we're going to help you out of any shit, because it's not, I'm going to tell on you. Now, there are some things that I've never told. Probably going to die with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Chase and Kyle said. Well, Nanny's taking that in with her, because it wasn't that bad. I solved it. I helped take care of it. But listen, I get a phone call from them just about every day. And when they don't call me, I let it go today. But tomorrow, I'm going to call and say, well, listen, I've not died yet. And I'm sorry I didn't call you. It better not happen again. So I hear from most of my grandchildren every day. And if they don't, I let them know about it.
Do you know that your son will put you on speakerphone and try to get you to snitch on us while we're there?
I know, but I'm not going to snitch, because I'm steadfast. If I'm not going to tell it, I'm not going to tell it.
What happens to stitches or snitches?
They get stitches.
Okay. Best advice your grandmother gave you. You kind of briefly touched on it about your grandparents raising you. I think you said that, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you had the full grandparent experience since your grandparents raised you as their own?
Well, I didn't know any different, because I was 4 years old. My brother was 17 months old. And they took me. Never did I ever hear in my years them ever saying, I wish I hadn't taken you because I was too old. Because
Mm-hmm.
they had raised 12 children of their own and took me and my brother.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a great job, because out of the 14 they raised, 12 of them died millionaires, or there ain't none left but me out of the 14. But when you raise one that retired from the Pentagon, you did a pretty good job. When you've raised them to raise good children and good grandchildren, I think you did your job. So that's the way they never talked about people. They always gave us good advice. Mama always said, you live today like it's going to be your last day. So if you live today like you know that this is the last one you're going to have, and the last time you're going to see me, you're going to be good. And you prepare today like you're going to live forever. And she said, you will never go wrong. So think about all that. There's so much true to it. And she was born in 1892, but had the best advice in the world.
And that's why you can give such good
That's
advice.
That's why I give good advice. It's why I'm a good person, because I took after them. And that's why they say, don't go to bed owing no man. Don't go to bed mad and hatred, because it's not going to get you nowhere. So I live by those.
Do you feel like you relate to Chloe in a different way because you were raised by her grandparents, or you were raised by your grandparents as your parents, and she's being raised by her grandparents as her parents?
Well, you know, each grandchild has got a different place in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
She says a lot of funny things. She's the baby that I'm around all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have a pretty good relationship, but she is so easy to manage.
Mm-hmm.
Because she doesn't get into anything. She just does her thing. Like you tell her to do something. Most of the time, you don't have to tell her twice. She'll do it. It's just like yesterday morning, she come down those stairs with that blanket. I said, "Ooh, booger, booger." I said, "You look like lightning. It's hit you." She said, "Hush, Nannie." But just to get to grow up with seeing her grow up. And everybody else is grown except Gray. He's 17 and thinking he's 30.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, she's the little one. I don't get to fool with Justin much because he's way down. Jackson, he's way down here.
Yeah.
But now me and him would be probably like this if he was, because he loves basketball and I do too.
Well, I think that it's funny to watch you and Chloe interact because of, I think that the age, the fact that she's being raised with parents who are older to her. You know, if she was being raised by her parents, they would be my age. And it's just a completely different makeup to watch how she is and then to watch how Jackson is, because she's so grown up. And I wonder if she would be that way if she had younger parents.
I don't know, but I told her the other day, I said, "Chloe, go get my socks and put on my feet." She said, "Nannie, why do you have to want somebody to do something for you?" I said, "Let me tell you something. You're a child, right?" She said, "Yeah." And I said, "I am too." She said, "No, you Nannie." I said, "Oh, no. The Bible says when you get old, you go back to being a child. So go get my socks and put on my feet."
Did she do it?
Yes, she did.
Okay, the last question that I have for you, and then we are going to do this segment that we do every week on the Southern Tea called the Weekly Tea. What is the hardest thing that you have ever been through but never talked about?
I don't know. I've been through a lot of heartaches that I didn't want to talk about.
Well, name one.
Well, Todd and Julie being sentenced to prison. My heart is broke. I don't know that I have been this broken in many days, but I have to ask God to give me strength and courage to get through it, because not everybody gets treated justice. Not everything is fair, but you know what? We have to get up. I tell you, children, we have to get up and be like the tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved. Let people see that we're really the people that we are. Get up, do the right thing, be kind, and let God take over.
What I've learned through that experience alone is that you have to be very careful and very mindful of not falling into what the media paints you out to be.
But see, I would never give them that joy, because I am hurting deep in my heart, but I'm not going to let no one see that. Because, you know, I have to be strong. I am still the mother and the grandmother. And I know that I have never done anything bad in my life. Never. But I have to let people see what Christ has done to me for me to move on with life. And so that's what I'm going to do. But I am broken.
Well, Nannie, we are all here for you. We love you. And we're all going through it together. That being said, we're going to do weekly tea and lighten your mood so that you don't have to cry. And here it is. I have 2 older half-sisters, one who is married. Upon getting married, in addition to having my 2 beautiful nieces, my sister and her husband decided to start swinging. In case you don't know what that means, it means having sex with other couples and people, group sex. And boy, did she and her husband love to talk about it with whoever would listen. I'm talking full disclosure on blowjobs, anal sex, the whole deal. They only talked about it for a couple of days before they realized they were being grossly inappropriate at our family Sunday night dinners. They bring themselves and their kids to grandma's house, where they're living at the time, every Sunday for a nice dinner. To be fair, they didn't talk about these things at dinner, but rather when they could corner one person or before or after dinner, and certainly after a few glasses of wine. Either way, fast forward to present day, and my sis and her hubby now have hubby's best friend living with them. They engage in some sort of group sex activity. I remain in truly blissful ignorance as to the details, but I do know both hubby and hubby's best friend have unprotected sex with my sister. They both have vasectomies and are assumed to be infertile. You might know where this is going. Sis gets pregnant and they don't know who the father is.
Well, she's doing sex with someone else then. But that's too dumb and stupid for me.
Do you feel like you would have ever been into swinging?
Never in life.
Group sexual activities?
No, I've never been but with one man in my whole entire life, and that's my husband with almost 50 years.
Do you feel like that this is very inappropriate?
Certainly. God didn't intend for that to happen.
Would you like to verse the SOUTHERNTEA on God's intentions?
You be with your partner, the one you married, until death do we part. And then he says you're entitled to be married again if that's what you choose. Me, I could have lots of friends, but I don't need one. This is what my saying, if you had the best, I'm not going to worry about the rest.
Interesting that you said that until death do us part, because the last visit that I had with Dad, he has very much, he already was embracing his journey with Christ and, reading and pulling apart the Bible. But he told me something that I did not know, that once you are married, you basically are, if you divorce, you are sinning if you are with someone else until the first person that you were with in marriage passes away, like in death.
Well, he says that in marriage, when you take that person, it says death do you part.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you're going to justify it, but I guess once you've done it, all you can do is ask for forgiveness and hope that God forgives you, because he said, I will forgive you of all sins except blaspheming against the Holy Ghost. I will cast them in the river of forgetful, and I will no more remember them. So you know what? You just have to work it out with Jesus Christ and how he gives you the strength to move on.
But what would be your advice to me? Because now I can't stop but thinking about it, knowing that my ex-husband's not dead. We chose to get a divorce. He's moving on. I'm moving on. But I don't want to feel like a sinner for it.
No, and I don't want you to burn in hell for it either.
Me either.
But
God, Nannie, that was harsh.
Well, that's just the way life is. That's what he tells you. When you sin, that's where you're going.
Mm.
But I can't tell you about all that. I just know that I never chose to do it, and I don't want to do it. Be no part of it.
Well, the next time you are on the SOUTHERNTEA podcast, we are going to do Chrisley family misconceptions. And we are going to allow the listeners of this podcast to write in to get your advice. Thank you guys so much for joining us on The Southern Tea. If you have not subscribed to our show, you can do that by searching the Purple Podcast app, type The Southern Tea, click subscribe, click the 5th star, leave us a written review. You can also find us on Spotify and always first at PodcastOne. We hope you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.